Hello everyone from Bunkit 2022 and welcome to our presentation video. We are from team C22-PS094 and today we will be presenting about our capstone project, Nawara. Let's begin with a bit of a background as to why we wanted to create this project. Violence is an event that everyone in the world is familiar with, whether you're the victim, perpetrator, witness, or you just happen to hear about it. In Indonesia alone, the number of reported cases of violence against women in 2021 is 338,496. That number rose approximately 53% from the last year's number. In addition, if we focus on primarily sexual violences, according to the head of Komnas Perempuan, based on the data until 2019, it shows that there were 3 women victims every 2 hours in Indonesia who suffered and received sexual violences. They also said that more than 90% of rape cases go unreported, while around 40% of those cases that were reported stop at the police without any action ever being taken on them. These are some grim statistics, and we, the Nawara team, would like to help in reducing them. Meet the team, the Nawara team, under the mentorship of Kak Veronica Diansari in Bunkit 22 program, with the team comprising of Kevin Jonathan, yours truly, and Felix Evander from the Machine Learning path, Rafal Benedict and Bernard Situmayang from the Cloud Computing Learning path, and last but not least, Dimas Rafi and Haikal, who are from the Mobile Development Learning path. We designed and built an app called Nawara, an app to protect children and empower women. Through our application, people will be able to share their stories, be they witness or victim, and find justice for those events. The users can also get help from professionals or other users through words of encouragement in their stories.
So, why did we make Nawara? The answer is actually pretty simple, but before we get to that, we should first take a look at the public perceptions of cause of sexual assault in Indonesia. We can see from this graph provided by Statista based on a research in 2020 that most people in Indonesia agree that the reasons for sexual assault comes down to the victim's actions or causing. This is called the victim blaming attitude. And through Nawara, we would like to tackle that issue. Nawara should be a safe place to share stories and for users to help one another, or one-tap solutions to get help from local authorities when it is needed. And it should act as a platform that provides easy access to professionals such as lawyers and psychologists to help users both legally and mentally. Some products that provide a similar service includes, but are not limited to, is Jaki and Jakarta Aman, but they both lack something in common, something like social function. They are both apps that provide a service to report problems, but are not well suited for people who need help beyond that, such as reassurance and consultation. The improvement that we've made compared to those apps are that we have added a story function and provided a comment sections that is filtered for toxicity using our own machine learning model for natural language processing. Next, we have implemented a panic button to help users to get help quickly from local authorities. And finally, we also provide easy-to-book lawyers and psychologists who are able to provide consulting service.
Next, let's focus on what we've achieved for this project. These are the datasets that we use to create our machine learning model. The first is an Indonesian abusive and hate speech text from Twitter with over 10,000 records, which is available in Kaggle. Next, we have a stop words dataset. Stop words are words that are commonly used and it doesn't add any meaning to a sentence. We would remove the stop words in the comment to feed it into our neural network. For the stories dataset, because we have no stories yet, we will use stories from news and articles from various sources during the early phase of development. In Nawara, we use machine learning to detect toxic comments, be they hate speech or abusive text. We built a sequential model using TensorFlow and Keras API. This model utilizes a text vectorization layer, which is a pre-processing layer that will encode, tokenize, pad, and clean the words from a comment. Then, the output is fed into an embedding layer, which will map the numbers each to a vector in n-dimensional space. Afterwards, it is then fed into a bidirectional LSTM layer, which will help preserve context from earlier words. Finally, the output is then passed into a deep neural network with dropout layers. After 5 epochs of model training, we can see that the model has excellent accuracy for both training and validation dataset. For initial testing on the trained model, we tested it on Jupyter Notebook and Postman with the server running in our local machine. As you can see, it's working as it can classify whether a sentence is toxic or no. The model is then deployed into a VM instance in Google Cloud's compute engine by using Nginx as a reverse proxy and Gunicorn as an application server for the Python Flask application. Therefore, the user will need to send a post request to an endpoint to call the model, and the server will send a response back in a JSON format.
For our Nawara project, we're gonna use Asia Southeast as our region. For the architecture itself, we're gonna use 2 virtual machines. For the first virtual machines, we're gonna use it to deploy our ML model that will classify the toxic comment in our Nawara comment section. For the second virtual machines, we're gonna use it to deploy our API backend that will pass, get, and fetch stories that needed by the application. And the stories will be stored in MongoDB. Before the user using our app, they are gonna need to authenticate themselves. For the authentication itself, we're gonna use Firebase authentication that will store the user data in Firestore. For the post API, the request will be title, image, and description. If the response success, it will post the data to the MongoDB.
Okay, in this part is mobile development or Android part. We use Match Scorecard. In summary, we use Match Scorecard plugin like to analyze our blueprint to build better application. We use technologies like Kotlin programming language, Android Studio IDE, Jetpack, Retrofit, Library Image Picker, DetUtil, and Image Circle. So, and then we use Coin, ReactiveX, and for database we use Firebase authentication, Firebase Firestore for storing our data, non-relational database, and Firestore storage for image, and Firebase UI for Firebase Recycle View. So in the next is the screenshot for our final product. We plan to have 5 main feature like posting story, chat with consultant, and seeing other user story, profile count, and comment with toxicity classifier. And this is our screenshot product that we have plugin. We have login and home page and consultant chat, and there is a list of chat with consultant.
These are the documentation for our project. And the first we have the machine learning segment, and the second we have the cloud computing segment, and the last we have a mobile development segment.
All of us from Nawara team would like to thank you for listening to our presentation, and we hope that we've helped you to realize how important these apps are.